Volleyball, a few favorite volleyball images, 276 million views.
For a year and a half straight, it was getting almost 3 or 4 million views a day. For the most part, the comments were fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Get the Shot, brought to you by Tamron Australia. We've got a fantastic episode for you guys today. We've got two guests. This is our first podcast where we've had two guests, and they're a married couple, which is even more fantastic. We have Jaison and Callie Sterling. Jaison works as a sports portrait photographer, and Callie works as you do families and newborns, right?
Yes, correct, yes.
Awesome. Great bit of variance. We're going to talk all about that, what it's like being a couple in photography and their works. So this is all very exciting. Thank you guys for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you having us.
Now, you guys met working on a photography project. Is that right?
So we went to the same university, and we started dating, and then she was on the yearbook staff, and then she asked me to do some work with her for events going on at the university we attended.
We were always kind of scrounging to find extra people to help with the yearbook. And he was kind of getting into photography, and I was like, well, why don't you come shoot a couple of these events? We really need extra photographers. I was always trying to find photographers to help, capture different events on campus. And so I kind of, conned him into coming to help with some of those a little bit. Yeah,
amazing. Did you start in events photography, Jaison?
Oh, no, not at all. I have a video background. I started in video way back when in high school, early in high school, when they had the option to do some projects that were video based, and I was all about that. And then I learned how to use my grandma's camcorder that she lent me with the tapes and all that you had to log and capture. And then I ended up transferring high schools so I could be in the TV program at a different high school, and that kind of led me down the path to go into the college that I did, because they have a really good film program. And then that's when I met Callie, and then she asked me to be on the yearbook staff. Taking pictures and doing stills was not anything I was interested in before meeting her. So in that sense, it was a good thing that I went that route and then met her. So here we are today.
I heard that you guys actually did wedding photos together for a period of time. What was that like?
Yeah, we did that for a really long time. We actually have a wedding that we're doing next year in 2026 together. I'm kind of bringing him out of retirement a little bit. But yeah, that was our primary source of income for a very long time. I guess a decade, essentially. Or maybe a little bit longer than that. And so we did that for years and years. And then eventually we kind of started realizing, hey, you could go to a wedding with a second shooter. I could go to a wedding with a second shooter, and we could kind of split. And it was all under the same business name, but we could essentially book two dates on the same day. So we started doing that for a while too. And then we would kind of do two separate ones.
It sounds like you guys were sick of each other's company and needed to, work separately for a period of time.
Hey, sometimes that is definitely the case.
Hey.
The joke that comes to mind working as a couple in wedding photography situations is, I'm sure, Callie, for a period of time, you were looking over at Jaison being like, when's it going to be my turn?
Oh, yes. Yeah, for a little bit. That is definitely so.
It didn't take too long. It was 3 years, I think. 3 years.
Yeah.
When we started doing photos and weddings and stuff until we got married.
Amazing. That's so cool. Jaison, how did you get into sport photography, and what led you towards sport portrait photography?
So, my high school football coach, he knew I was a digital film major, and then in 2013, he asked me, hey, you want to come film a hype video for us? We got these awesome new uniforms from Nike. We became a Nike national elite team, I think is what it was. And I said, of course. So we went out after school at night. We filmed this really cool hype video. Then I took some pictures to kind of before we started the video process. And then the next year we did pretty much all like pictures, and we did a little bit of video afterwards. And that's just kind of how it got started. Like other teams at the school saw those pictures, and they wanted the same type of pictures. So I ended up doing basketball pictures for girls and guys. And then the soccer team saw the pictures, and they wanted pictures like that. And that's just kind of how it got started. And by no means was sports like the main source of income. We used the wedding income for like a decade or more to supplement buying all the gear, all the lights and stuff for the sports business to kind of take off. But that's kind of like the backstory of how like all the sports portraits kind of like took off. I had this like weird idea to like throw baby powder behind the athletes to kind of look like smoke. It was a huge mess, but it looked really cool. And then an athlete from that shoot, his name's KJ Hill. He played for the Chargers for a little while. I got him to sign a canvas that's his senior year of that, and we still have that canvas. And she actually just got it framed for the studio. So I'm going to keep that hung in the studio. And we've had other athletes that I've taken pictures of who signed, but it was really cool that first kind of media day that we did, he actually went on to play in the NFL. So that was really cool.
That's so exciting. Now, we may have to cut this if I get this wrong, but that image behind you, is that Caitlin Clark?
That is Caitlin Clark.
Okay, good. We can keep that. Did you have any idea that she would become as successful as she's become?
No, not at all. You just see like all the highlight clips on ESPN and everything of her playing at Iowa through the years, and you know she was something like really, really special. And then when I got the message from ESPN that I was going to, like, they wanted me to photograph a media day for the women's Final Four last year in 2024. Like, we just still didn't know who was going to be in like the Final Four, so I was secretly hoping that Iowa would win so I could take her picture. So that was really cool when we saw that they won, and then I was able to take her picture.
How amazing. I can see you're both wearing Rocktown related t-shirts. Do you both work? Yeah, the merch, good. That's a good plug. Do you both work together on that side of things? Because I know you've got your own thing going, Callie, but is it all under one roof?
Yes. So they're essentially all on paper. Like our bank account it's all one bank account to get really specific with it. But there are two different names and companies as far as like the brands. But yes, it's all really like one. We've got one office here, one like team that kind of works on everything. It's Jaison and myself, and then Ben is our full-time employee that we hired a few months back. So we're a very small team, but yeah, it's pretty much all. It's separate, but also all together. So yes.
Jaison and I were talking before this, and he told me that you guys have actually built a studio. So congratulations on that, first of all. But what's it like working in this new studio? Tell me all about it.
I mean, I have no complaints. It's great. We have teams wanting to come to us from all over the state. I know next year we have a team that's going to be driving from 3 hours away to come to the studio for Media Day photos. We have seniors come in from out of state, and then I taught my first photography workshop for off-camera lighting here about 3 weeks ago, and we had a guy drive down from Canada, which was crazy that somebody would drive that far, and very flattering too that they would drive that far to have me kind of teach them like my photography techniques and that kind of stuff. But overall, I have like no regrets about building a studio. It's been awesome. It has had some headaches in the actual construction part of the process, but overall, I don't have any like too big of complaints.
One thing that I think has been really nice is we, before we had the studio, we would get people emailing from out of state, and they'd say, "Hey, we want to come take pictures with you. Where can we do that?" And it's really difficult to find just a basketball court that will let you take pictures there, or a football field and things like that. So that has been nice to have these solo athletes come in and they can come do like a senior session with us without us having to book a field or worry about the weather outside, like if it's an outdoor field and things like that. The weather situation is really nice. And then the front part of the studio has what I would say is like a normal photography studio that you would have, babies and families and things like that. So the front entryway, there's like a lobby, and then my studio's off to the side. That's where we did like Santa Claus came recently, and we had Santa in the studio, and then it kind of opens up into the big gym area.
How did you fall into doing families and babies?
Well, okay, so we've done weddings for years, which we still do weddings. And then we kind of just had a lot of people get married, and then kind of the next progression of life, they would, start families and things like that. And so then a lot of our wedding clients would return. Like, for instance, today I did a newborn session. We did their bridals, engagements, wedding photos, and then they just had their fourth child. So I'd have done all of their newborns for all of their babies over the years. So that was just like kind of surreal. Like I went in and they had all of these pictures literally from their engagement session straight out of college that I had done. And then next to it was like their framed pictures of all of those different sessions. So that's just really rewarding to see. And like you see their families grow and you grow with them. So that was kind of how it all started, those wedding clients. And then they, word of mouth, they told their friends. And same with the sports too. That's kind of how that got, snowballed. Like he started doing that video for Coach Bolding, and then, another coach from that school saw a different sport and just kind of went from there.
Jaison, a lot of your photos have behind the scenes video that go about it. You've got a really, really big presence on social media and YouTube. I've got the numbers here, and I know you hate me reading this because it's a bit full on, but 2.6 million subscribers and 2 billion views on YouTube alone. You've got hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram and TikTok, and tens of millions of views across all of it. How did you get started in doing the video side of your business?
It was her idea to make a TikTok like in 2021. She told me for almost a year to make one, and I was reluctant to do so. I didn't really think it was important to do the video portion, and I was completely surprised by how well it went after I started posting. Like the third video I posted had 300,000 views, which is absolutely crazy. And after that, I was hooked on making social media content. I started off just using TikTok and posting on there. Then Instagram introduced Reels, and then Facebook introduced Reels. And finally, I decided I was going to make a YouTube because YouTube Shorts kind of started taking off. And I just kept the same kind of concept going. I like to show behind the scenes what actually goes into the photo sessions, the media days, like how much fun these athletes and students have when we're doing these media days, and show just a little bit of what it looks like, what you would see if you were there versus what it looks like in the camera. And my whole philosophy for all of my shoots is in-camera practical effects and getting almost everything right in camera. And I got that philosophy and that mindset from film school. You want to get everything as much as you can right in camera. You don't want a whole lot of post-production work. It saves you so much more time on the back end. And then kind of showing people hey, look at the back of my camera. This looks really cool straight out of camera. And then getting the athlete's reaction made for some really good social media content. And so I've kind of kept with that style for, I guess, four years now. And so it's doing really well.
What do you think it is about behind the scenes, just generally speaking, that gets people so interested and hooked?
Part of the reason that I think it gets people excited is they see what the setting looks like. Like for example, I had a swim photo shoot, I guess it was last month, and we just threw water on her from a bucket, and it made a splash when the water hit her. But when you see the image in the camera, and I show the image in the camera, it's got a completely dark background, and the water droplets show up perfectly. You can't really see all the water droplets because you have all this ambient like ugly lighting in the actual pool. It's almost yellow looking. If you look in the behind the scenes video, it's just kind of dingy in there. But when you see the actual image in the camera, people are like, how do you do that? Like how is that lighting making it? Doesn't the flash make everything just look brighter? And so it's kind of like they don't know how it works, but they're intrigued by how it works. And then, of course, you got to get the reaction from the athletes too, when the ones that are in the shoot, and then the like your teammates who are also there, and getting those reactions also really help with the social media aspect.
Absolutely. Now, volleyball, a few favorite volleyball images. 276 million views. I have to mention that one. You know I was going to. That is more than 10 times the population of Australia. It is just remarkable. How do you exist with that?
I have no idea. I think when I made that video, it was like an end of the year type of video, and I was just throwing a bunch of clips together from different volleyball media days throughout the year, and it blew up. I don't know what it was about that clip that it seemed like for a year and a half straight, it was getting almost 3 or 4 million views a day. It was just like, it was crazy how that happened. That's like some days it would have like 3 million views, and sometimes it would go back down like 100,000. But it kept fluctuating between that for over a year. It was absolutely crazy. And for the most part, the comments were fine on there. That's something you do have to watch is the comments on social media. Some of them are just not the best. Definitely not the best. But yeah, I don't know how some of these videos get so many views, but it is mind blowing, like the numbers of views that they do get.
Yeah, and what I'll add to that is the fact that you're both of you putting content out there and working together and releasing all this content, whether it gets a few views or it's done as well as that, it's actually inspiring people to pick up the camera and take photos. And that's sort of what we're all about here. And so from a thematic sort of point of view, thank you so much for putting your content out there. It's how I found you as well, and it's inspired people to get into using cameras.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty awesome, like the messages and stuff we get, and like there was one, I don't know, this a couple of weeks ago, just saying like, thank you so much. Like I forgot how much I love photography. I was into it for a long time, and then family stuff kind of got in the way, and I'm going to pick it back up because your videos like inspired me. And so that makes me like feel really good about the content that I post out there, and like the format in which I do film the content and then add the images to it as well. That is a pretty good feeling.
We have been like laying in bed at night, and all of a sudden Jason Derulo messages his team, and he's like,
Really?
"Hey, this is Jason Derulo's team. Can we reshare this sports video?" He has like a YouTube channel where he shares content, and he has shared some of the Rocktown posts. Cardi B recently shared one of the posts, or she liked the post. She liked a post, but he has shared like around 10 of them. He's messaged us 10 different times. And then Mel Robbins, she has a pretty popular, I think she had the #1 podcast at one point. She shared some content, sports content on her Instagram. So that's just one thing that's kind of surreal to us. Like we live in a very, like pretty small state. Like Arkansas is pretty small. And it's just crazy to think that, our work from Little Rock, Arkansas is being shared by, Mel Robbins and Jason Derulo.
Jason Derulo he was on a season of The Voice Australia, and I heard stories on set that he was just lovely and really sweet and easygoing. So I'm glad to hear that it's extended to people like you guys as well. I've been thinking as we're talking, and Callie, now that you're on the call, is it harder to pose athletes or harder to pose babies and families?
Probably the babies, only because they have their own agenda for the most part. Sometimes the athletes can be a little unruly, like depending on the sport. And not to stereotype them, but typically the boys are a little bit more wild than the girls, and I say that as a boy mom. We have a 6-year-old, and he's definitely more wild than my little girls that I photograph. But babies, toddlers especially, it's they're playing and what they're doing. It just depends on if they, are feeling it that day. But for the most part, the babies can be challenging.
Do you also incorporate the smoke and the baby powder and all that sort of stuff, or do you reckon they're a bit too young for that?
Yeah, I usually skip all of those special effects for the babies and for the families and the brides. We have done a few weddings, though, where we did some, like, cool lighting, like with the rain and at nighttime and things like that. So occasionally we do kind of, cross it over a little bit.
Though I think that's a good crossover. We should have a newborn session with like the fog and the lights and stuff. That's a good crossover. We should do that. If anything, it makes for some good content.
We did bring Santa into the gym.
Oh yeah, we did.
While he was here. So we brought him to the Rocktown side of the studio, and he did some pretty crazy photos.
Yeah, Santa got some good photos with the snow machine and the sparks.
Oh, okay. Fire and ice.
Yeah, we'll have to send them to you.
Lighting is, I would say, one of your biggest tools and what you're most iconic for on the Rocktown side of things. How did you develop your style with lighting?
So, I mean, when we first started, I had always used just like a speed light and stuff for weddings, and I kind of wanted to do something different when I did that second like media day, the one where we threw baby powder. The first one I just used an on-camera speed light and just photographed them with the sunset in the back, and then just underexposed the background to like kind of bring out the sunset. So I did some like research on like different lighting setups, and I just kind of said, all right, this 3-light setup looks pretty cool. Well, at the time, all I had was 3 speed lights and didn't really know what I was doing. And I had to go, I told the coach, like, we got to go do this at night. I don't know how to make the background dark without it being nighttime. So of course it's got to be nighttime when we do this photo shoot. We're doing it at night. I had 3 speed lights. They were all just bare speed lights. There was nothing else on them. And so I just set 2 up in the back, like 1 on each side of the athlete, and then just 1 on the athlete in front for like a key light. And I realized like that's actually like a decent setup, like a 3-light setup, and kind of gives more of like a 3-dimensional look, and like having the 2 lights in the background helps separate the athlete from the background when you're using like or creating a darker background. And so I've expanded on that and have really gotten into just like creative lighting using color gels, and of course using like the fog machine and stuff, and then adding snow machines and now sparks and stuff in the studio, and we've added lasers. But just that initial session doing the baby powder is kind of stumbled upon just like a cool lighting setup, and have really kind of expanded that and kind of made it my own style, doing like the dark background and then with the edge lighting, that kind of stuff. And then as far as the athletes seeing it, doing that type of setup where you are essentially just drowning out all of the ambient lighting and creating your own lighting for the scene. When they see that in camera, like, how'd you do that? How'd you turn the lights off? The lights are clearly on in the gym. How'd you do that? And then just getting that reaction is another reason why it makes good social media content, is they don't know how like the lighting and the exposure works, and that just creates really good like reactions. And then I kind of go into the explanation of how I'm like exposing for the flash, and then setting the background like ambient lighting how I want it in camera, then adding it in the flash.
Do you guys have favorite photos or highlight projects or anything like that from your careers?
I mean, probably working the women's Final Four was pretty awesome the past 2 years. Like the first year, of course, getting to take pictures of Caitlin Clark and Paige, and then last year we took pictures. Like Paige was there again with UConn, so Paige Beckers. And that was just an overall really, really cool experience, having ESPN hire you for that to do like the media day for the women's Final Four. What would you?
Out of your sports pictures?
Oh, like just any shoot in general, I guess.
Well, I do really love his Caitlin Clark shot, the one that's behind us. I think that one's really cool. And then the ones I've taken, probably there was a wedding I did in California many years ago that at Yosemite. Those are probably some of my favorite pictures that I've done.
How do you guys separate work life and married life, or is it sort of all intertwined in a whole thing now?
Yeah.
Is there a separation?
That's a nice dream. That's a nice dream to hope and aspire for. No, it's often very intermingled, and we do try and be like really intentional with our son and things like that. But it is hard to, turn off those like work emails and things like that. Like when we're at dinner, it's like, oh, did you see this? Because that's sometimes just like the natural time to talk about it. But we try and be intentional with like taking trips and things like that and vacations. And we tried, of course we have to work some while we're on those trips, but we do try to, like scale it back a little bit.
Since we have opened the studio, my philosophy when we opened the studio was work is work. When I'm home, I'm home. But it just so happens that we're up at the studio 10 to 12 hours a day.
But now we live here.
Yeah.
And so now this is our home. No, we don't really live here. But it does feel like that sometimes. But we've made it, like we've tried to make it, like upstairs, which is where we are now, we've tried to make it cozy, and like we have a Christmas tree over there.
Just happens to be decorated with Taylor Swift ornaments.
Yeah, we have all Taylor Swift theme going. But we've tried to make it homey, where we can. So it's, a little bit more comfortable up here.
Has your son gotten their hands on using a camera yet?
Yes.
He has, actually. I actually have his camera right over here.
Yeah, we got him a camera for his birthday. It's like
I still need to charge it. This is his little camera.
it's indestructible.
Oh, how beautiful.
It's indestructible.
It is waterproof. It's like indestructible. You could throw this thing on the concrete and it wouldn't break.
Yeah, and he actually will take pictures. It's really cute at media days. He'll take pictures behind the scenes. And some of the kids at a recent swim shoot, they were like, hey, he took our pictures on that last year. Do you think we can get copies of them? And we were like, oh my gosh, like we don't know how y'all remembered that. But yeah, we'll see if we can find them.
I can't guarantee they're going to be in focus and then maybe blown out because I think he has the flash on all the time. But yeah, we'll send it to you.
Yeah. He does enjoy it, though. It's pretty funny. But he doesn't want to be in photos. I think we've ruined him.
Are there any career aspirations for either of you two? Are there any bucket list things that you want to do photography wise?
Oh, I think building the studio was probably at the top of the list, and we're here. We built the studio. We have people coming to us from all over, and then that was one of the things I wanted to do, was to have this place not only for athletes to come here for media days and individuals and senior photos, but to teach workshops out of here. The past 2 years, I've traveled all over the country, from California to Illinois to Virginia, Florida. We've traveled all over to teach workshops, and then having the first one here like 3 weeks ago it was awesome. Having like everybody came here and having this space that people can come and learn lighting and photography is just absolutely amazing.
Ben and I have really been wanting to get the Savannah Bananas in the studio. I don't know if you know who they are.
I don't know who they are. Tell me.
It's called Banana Ball, and it's like kind of like a fun, silly form of baseball. But they've kind of exploded in the United States, and
they've been selling out more stadiums than major league teams have.
Yeah, it's wild. It is wild. They're talented players, but they're also just like really fun and silly. You'll have to look them up, Savannah Bananas. But they have a franchise, and now they've added new teams to their franchise. So they have like a firefighters team is one of their names, and
the party animals one
the
too.
Party Animals, and then I think they have a new one, something along the lines of something coconuts. And so they have a team coming next year to our city, and so I really want to get one of their teams in here and do a shoot for them, but I don't know if they'll come. But that would just be so fun. So Ben and I have been kind of joking that's what we're hoping for. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Well, if they're listening to this podcast, you guys know what to do.
Yes, you know how to find us.
You touched on workshops a little bit earlier. How did you fall into doing them and getting started there?
I did that first workshop in 2018. I think that was the very first one I did. I did it at a CrossFit gym. I don't know how
I forgot about
I don't
that,
know
yeah.
exactly how it started. What gave me the idea to do a workshop to teach. I don't even think I called it a workshop at the time.
I don't even know what we called it, but you had a pretty good turnout.
Yeah, I did.
And that was before all of the social media like success and things like that. But I think you and Brad Deal were kind of talking about ideas. Brad Deal's another sports photographer.
Yeah.
And I think y'all were kind of, they met online, which is so cool to think about because he lives in Virginia, which is, a few states away from us. And I think y'all were kind of like tossing around the idea, if I remember right.
Yeah,
And
that was in 2022 when we were talking about it. So that was a couple years after that one I did at the CrossFit gym in 2018. But yeah, we started messaging each other online and just said, hey, we should teach this style to everybody, because we keep getting a lot of questions online, like what settings do you use for this, why do you do that, what modifiers are you using, that sort of stuff. And so we had our first workshop in 2023, in January of 2023 at IMG Academy in Florida. I don't know if you've ever heard of IMG Academy.
Fortunately not.
If you should look them up, their high school sports are crazy, and their facilities are amazing.
it's like a boarding school type of situation. So the athletes live there, a lot of high profile athletes. Some celebrities' children go there. Some people come from overseas to go there, like really talented athletes. It's a pretty incredible place. The fact that was where the first one was held is kind of wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we've ever been back to a nicer place than IMG Academy as far as having all of the facilities there.
It's interesting that you guys talk about school photography and it being a whole industry and where you guys make your living, because high school and college or university sport in Australia is sort of not really a thing. So there's the major leagues like AFL football, there's A-League soccer, and rugby's also really big in Australia. They'll scout schools for new players, but there's not really a college or university league where you can have a career in that league that's very lucrative and successful and massive. So I find all this really, really fascinating from my perspective as an Australian. So that's awesome that there's these massive facilities just dedicated for that.
The colleges now, it's a whole industry.
Even in high school, I mean, everybody now in Arkansas, I think almost every single 7A school, which is the largest classification you can be in high school, has an indoor practice facility.
Like multi-million
dollar indoor practice facilities with turf. Some of them have tracks in them. They have air conditioning inside of these and heat. It's like you're no longer outside practicing in the elements. I know when I was playing football in high school, it didn't matter if it was 20 degrees outside and it was raining. We were practicing outside, and now everybody has these nice indoor heated facilities that are some of them are a full 100 yards long. It's crazy.
Remarkable.
High school sports in general, just over the past couple decades, have just exploded, and everybody here knows about Texas high school football. Texas is one state over, and some of these facilities that these high school teams have are larger than college stadiums, and they have better facilities. It's crazy the amount of money kind of pouring into high school athletes.
With Matthew McConaughey on the sidelines chanting on, right?
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
All right. Well, the last thing that we do on the podcast is that the previous guest leaves a question for you guys. And the question is, if you weren't doing what you were doing, what type of career would you have?
Oh, I would be a gardener.
Really?
Yes, I love to garden. I love to if I could just dig in the dirt all day long, I would be so happy. So yeah, maybe in retirement one day I'll be a.
Didn't you used to want to work for the news station? You have a degree in journalism.
I did want to work for the news once upon a time, and I think that would be a very rewarding career. But now that I'm a little older, I think gardening would be my calling for sure.
I would probably want to do something like work for NASA or SpaceX, because I'm like a huge astronomy nerd and physics nerd. I read astronomy and physics books all the time, so doing something related to that would be awesome. I always thought about what would happen if I actually continued on with school and then actually went down that road. If I could have worked for like NASA or SpaceX, that would have been really, really cool.
My mind goes to, you, Callie, talking about gardening, and you, Jaison, talking about, being an astronaut. Have you seen The Martian?
I have. I've read the book too about Andy Weir.
Have you read Project Hail Mary as well?
Oh, of course. I 3 times.
He loves that book.
I love that book. I've been begging her to just listen to the audiobook. Ray Porter does a great job narrating that book.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
It may be it's like him and Stephen Fry, Harry Potter. They're like my mountaintops with audiobooks.
Maybe you'll convince me to read it.
No, just listen to it. I actually think if you listen to it compared to reading it, the way that Ray Porter just animates the characters, and it is remarkable. He is so good.
It is. It's very, very good. And he's the narrator in all of the Bobiverse series books too.
Okay.
Those are by Dennis E. Taylor. That's another good series. If you haven't checked it out, it's the Bobiverse. There's 5 of them.
Interesting. The series that I finished recently was... I think we can talk about sci-fi forever, but have you ever read The 3-Body Problem?
I have. I love that series.
I watched the show with him, and I think that was kind of what prompted you to read the books, and I liked the show.
Yeah, we watched the first season of the show, then I read the books.
The books are a bit full on, hey?
Yeah, the books take place in a little bit different of a time or a different era than the show does.
Yeah, in my personal interests, adaptation is something that's really interesting to me, and how it's written by a Chinese author and all the characters are Chinese, and the English version's translated, of course, and that perspective coming in, and then in the adaptation for the Netflix show, how they bring in elements from the 3rd book into the 1st book and this and that. Anyway, I digress. We could go on and on and on about this. We've moved. Maybe that's the next podcast that we do.
Yeah, we can't leave out Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Oh boy.
No, we can't.
Oh no, I've been begging her to read that one too, and I got my father-in-law to read it. And now we have inside jokes based on the book, and we annoy everybody in the family on holidays with Dungeon Crawler Carl jokes. And that's another one that the audiobook by the narrator Jeff Hayes did such a phenomenal job narrating those books. And there's currently 7 of them now. Yeah.
Well, we do have to wrap it up. Thank you so much for both of you coming on. You've brought a really interesting perspective into photography. You're actually the first time I've had 2 guests on, and the first time I've spoken to someone outside of Australia. So thank you very much. And everything that you've done with your videos to help get people interested in photography. Again, I cannot stress how amazing that is, and thank you so much for all of that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for asking us. And thank you for just being so flexible with the time difference and coordinating everything.
It's not a problem at all. If you want to find out what Callie and Jaison are going to ask next week's guest, tune in to find out, like and subscribe. But otherwise, we will see you next week. Take care, everyone.